Winter's here and things are getting chilly, so stay warm, stay inside, and join me while I paint this winter forest scene in Procreate on the iPad Pro. Hey y'all, I'm Brad of Brave the Woods, and as a professional illustrator, this channel is my way of sharing my process, my tools, and my advice to anyone who cares to listen. If you didn't know already, I create digital brushes with my good friends over at RetroSupply. Together we've made some really fun retro-inspired brushes for both Photoshop and Procreate, and for today's illustration, I'm going to be using the Woodland Wonderland pack. All right, well let's dive right into our painting. For today's painting, we're going to be working on the iPad Pro in the Procreate app, using one of my favorite brush packs that I made with RetroSupply, the Woodland Wonderland pack. Now, this is a really cool pack. It's inspired by mid-century little golden books, and which I absolutely love. They have so many cool textures and different type of media that they use to make those. So you kind of have a smattering of those in this pack. You have some grainy brushes, you have some gouaches, some cool pencils. What else do we have in here? Oh, some watercolor. Lots of really cool stuff. Now you don't feel obligated to buy it. You don't need that for this drawing today. You can, if you have some other gouache brushes that you like, or you can even use some of the standard painterly ones here in Procreate. That's totally fine. But if you do want to get them, you just look at the link below, the RetroSupply link, and you can pick up the pack. All right, so let's jump right into it. I think I'm going to start with my gouache brush, I think. But for this, I'm gonna do the background first, most likely. So I'm gonna take my sketch here, I'm gonna lower the opacity so I can kind of see what I'm working on. I might even, I think I'm gonna multiply this. That way I can build layers up underneath it and still see my sketch. That might be helpful. Let's see. You know what? Let's do a base layer of blue. I think my main color here is gonna be very blue. And so I wanna start my base color here, and then I'm gonna work on that sky and kind of work my way forward. I'm gonna add another layer. I'm gonna start with this gouache brush. I'm gonna max it out here on size. So what I wanna do is I wanna kind of add kind of a whimsical sky in here, and that's the cool thing about painting, is that it kind of adds a little bit of life to it when you can still see the brush strokes and the textures in the brush. So I'm gonna press lightly. If I wanna push down, it'll be solid, so if you want darker areas, you can do that. But I'm gonna kind of let it flow around, because that kind of gives the feeling of clouds or wind, any of those things, and it kind of makes it just a little bit more interesting. Maybe on the top here, I'm gonna go with like a more solid blue. There we go. I want it to be darker here at the top. Maybe I'll bring that here too. You can just see how it's just starting to kind of layer up your blues. You can kind of alternate. If you want to play around with the colors, you can kind of tweak them around here on your value scale. I already have some of them kind of worked out already that I liked, and so I'm going to kind of work with those. There we go. That's looking pretty cool. I think if I wanted to kind of go back over a few of them, and I could sit here and fiddle with this all day. The one part that is important though is that I leave this bit right down here darker, because it needs to have this hill on the back. It's gonna have to stand off of it, and it's, everything's gonna be covered in snow. So we're gonna have to make sure that it's gonna be blue still, but it's gonna be a lighter blue than this background. So I wanna make sure that stands out. All right, so that's looking pretty good. I think maybe I'll add some more of that blue in here to make it stand out a little bit, but we'll keep messing with that. Let's do the next bit. So let's do that mountain right there, or that hill. We'll just add another layer, and I think I'm going to start with this color right here, the color that we've been using all along, and I'm just going to knock that out. So I'm going to kind of block out the color, and I'm going to put it on its own layer, and I want to block that out because I'm going to do textures and things with it later. But I'll just go ahead and do another layer here for this bit right here. Let's see, is that the same? No, I think that's good. So we'll kind of bring that up, and we'll add highlights and things. The one thing we don't want to do is just start dropping the darkest color in our whites especially, because if we do that, then we won't have any ability to highlight anything because we've already used our brightest color. So yeah, we're not gonna do that. Okay, so we got that hill, one more. This is where I'm gonna use the white because I want this hill to really stand out. And it's kind of bold and graphic. It's a nice little take on. I'm gonna rotate my screen here. Go down here and block out this part of the hill. I want to leave like the little grittiness on the edge. I actually kind of like that. I don't know, just the grittiness and things, that always adds a little bit more tangible quality to it, a little bit more life to your art. It's hard when you're on, you know, on a digital format. Sometimes it can feel very flat and very cold, and so we might as well just use that. And we're mimicking analog tools, so might as well take advantage of that. Not get rid of it completely. Doesn't have to be perfect. All right, so we got that down. I think the next step would be to go ahead and add that tree over there. So still blocking in shapes, all on different layers. Always keep stuff on different layers. It'll make your life so much easier. Let's see. One second, I'm gonna look at my background here. Let's see if I missed out on a color. Oh, you know what? I like that. There we go. Maybe that'll be a little bit better. A little bit darker right there. Yeah, I like that. Okay, sorry, I got distracted. All right, so I'm gonna do my dark color over here. Maybe add a little bit more black into it there. And we're gonna do another layer. I'm gonna reduce the size of this because I don't want the edges to be too crazy on here. And I wanna up the opacity on my sketch so I can see the edges of it right here on this tree. This tree is gonna be pretty dark because it's going to be on this is gonna be in the shadow, right? It's gonna be back. The lighting's gonna come from this moon. So it's gonna be pretty dark here in the foreground, and everything else is gonna kind of light up in the foreground. There we go. Get the brush a little smaller. Now I'll probably use like a clipping mask to go ahead and mask off the rest of this so we can add some more textures and things. So make sure it's at least full or filled in, you know, all the way so that you can add those other textures and things after. But it won't add those textures. If you're using a clipping mask and it still has some gaps in the main shape, you're not gonna be able to ever fill those in on the clipping mask. So you might as well take care of them now. All right, so now that we're blocking out our shapes, it's gonna make it a whole lot easier to change the color of these things. And if you wanna do that, just tap on the layer. You can just alpha lock it. And then you can maybe move this over and just drop that in there if you want. Now that's not what I want. Maybe I wanna make it a little bit more. Yeah, I thought I like that a little bit better. It's a little bit too saturated with that blue, and I want it to really stand off from that background. So that's looking better to me. Let's go ahead and use that color. I wanted to get that right because I'm gonna use that same one over here. Now, if you want, let's turn off that alpha lock. That'll just lock all the pixels that are on that layer. So that's why it'll only manipulate that shape. It wouldn't go outside of that. All right, so now I might as well do these other trees too, block these shapes in. I'm gonna drag and hold and I'll lock that in. I think I have to do this, let's see. There we are. And then we'll do this tree right over here with this blue as well. And now it's not gonna end up looking like this because we're gonna add some more shadows and things to it here in a second. But now if we turn off this sketch layer, you're gonna see that we're starting to get all the pieces, right? It's kind of working. I'm gonna work my way from the main shapes, and then we're gonna start adding all the textures, and that'll be a good time. All right, so we got more of the sketch. Let's add some pink in here now. I kind of want to vary up the colors. I mean, it's nice to have all the blues, but let's add a pink color. I'm gonna add that, make sure that's underneath the white layer right here, our foreground. So I'm gonna introduce that pink on these trees back here. I wanna introduce a different color here, so it's not just all blue. This feels very Mary Blair. That's because I'm heavily influenced by Mary Blair on this. I don't do a lot of scenes, really. I don't do a ton of them in my illustrations, so it's kind of fun to experiment and play around with just a scene. I'm usually working on like the characters and things. So this is kind of a nice change of pace for me. And it's fun. So one of my favorite, concept artists, and just one of my favorite artists overall is Mary Blair. I love how she just played around with all the different textures and colors. And she did it, a lot of the time with gouache, which is such a cool medium, quick medium to work in with some really vibrant colors. Okay, so the thing I'm gonna do now I got the trunks, I need to start adding some branches. So I think the next bit will be maybe getting a different brush for the branches. I want something a little bit cleaner. So maybe this gouache one right here, or this smother gouache. Let's see how that looks a lot cleaner. So I might just take this sketch layer off so I can see what I'm doing. It's kind of getting in the way right now. Let's do a little bit bigger on that branch. There we are. And if you hold it, it'll lock it in nice and accurate for you. I don't want them to be too perfect. But maybe we'll just add a few branches in there like that. We'll add a few more over here. It might get a little too busy, so I'm gonna try to limit the amount of branches on here. It might get a little crazy. And then we'll do that up here. Maybe even giving them little smaller branches off of those branches. That'd be interesting, right? Perfect. Okay, I'm gonna stop while I'm ahead. But I do need to add some more branches on these guys right up here in the front. So I'm gonna go back to those ones. And then I'm going to maybe add a branch, like a larger branch right up here. And again, this kind of stuff, there's not a real right or wrong way to do it. So go with your gut. Whatever the branches you want to put on there, you add those branches. But I'm trying to put them in here in a way that would make sense and not, it'll still look like they're a full tree, but at the same time, I don't want it to get too busy. There's a lot going on in this. All this area especially, it's getting a little crowded. So, alrighty, well, I think that's good. Okay, I'm gonna leave that alone. We're gonna stop, and the next thing we're gonna do is maybe add something here in the foreground. I need something down here. It feels like I need something down there. So I'm gonna use this same really dark tree color here. Add something to the very top layer. Let's do that. These little guys. So I might need to change the brush size. So I'm gonna create, I don't even know what plant this is, but I kind of just decided that I was gonna draw it like that because I just like the shapes. I'm sure there's a plant that looks like that, right? I'm sure there is. All right, well, that looks good. I'm excited that those are there, that we finally have something in the front, because that kind of bothered me that there was nothing right there. All right, so I only have a couple things left to block in these trees in the back and this moon. So let me start with the trees. Let's find out where that layer is for our hill. I'm gonna do the layer right underneath it, make a new one. And then I'm just going to zoom in here and we're going to make some trees. A little bit more stylized, these geometric trees. But I kind of like that mixture where you have something to have a little bit more of a realistic look to them. Then you add some like highly stylized bits to it. I think it makes it more interesting. All right, what's the last blocked in item? The moon. Let's get the moon in there. And that's gonna be white. I want that to pop off the page for sure, or off the paper. Or screen, whatever this is. The screen. Whoa. Okay, if it does that, that means the threshold is too high. So you need to go down. You'll notice that if I go, it's starting to fill in the gaps. It'll leave more gaps the lower my threshold. Try to get it right where it's on the edge. There you go. And it fills in the most amount of pixels there. See? And you'll still see like a little ring. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little ring around it. And that bothers me a lot. So you can go in and clean that up. That's what I tried to get with the threshold. But there's still a little bit left over because I have a grainy brush. That happens. All right, so this is already looking kind of fun. Some more details. Let's start adding our... Oh, you know what? I'm gonna add those little trees down there. To do that, I'm gonna use a different brush. I'm gonna use more of a pencil brush. In my case, it's gonna be this little scratchy pencil. In your case, it might be a completely different brush, different pencil, and that's fine. I'm gonna go back to where I have my little trees in the back. I'll just stay on that layer. That won't hurt to stay on that layer. So I'm gonna draw a little line right there for one tree. And another line right here for another tree. Actually, we'll do one tree at a time because we're gonna do something fun with the branches. Here's a little trick I'm gonna teach you to get that little, I mean, you could do it multiple different ways, but this is the way I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna have lines and just kind of shoot them out like this. These are gonna be your branches. We're gonna make it look really nice and symmetrical, like a nice circle to kind of contain that tree. Oops, let's do that. Gosh, I'm kind of being messy. Let's try that again. There we go. But what we're gonna do is now we're just gonna go and do an eraser around it. We're gonna do a little circle around it like this. Then I'm gonna tap like that. And then I'm gonna erase everything else around it. And then you got a nice little stylized tree there. And I'll do the same thing right over here. I'm actually I'll have to do it on a separate layer because I wanna move it around. So let's say I want it to be about that big. Then I just gotta add some lines. Doesn't matter how long they are, you're gonna cut it off. There you go. Gonna add a circle around it. Tap. Let's see where the edge is. There you go. Gonna erase all of that. And then I'll just move that tree closer to where I want it. Maybe there's a little bit of overlap. And yeah, I like the way that looks. Now I'm just gonna push those two together because I'm done with it. Cool, so we got varying trees out there. I think the other part that I wanna do is add some little like grass right here peeking through the snow. We're gonna use this funky gold color. We're gonna keep the same brush and behind that stuff, right? No, let's put it right here. It will be behind this stuff. There we are. So I'm gonna do kind of the same trick. I'm just gonna erase after I do some things. So I'm going to maybe blow that up a little bit, maybe not so much. And I'm gonna kind of just go, just make it big. And it doesn't even matter how far off you go. It doesn't matter because you're gonna go through here and you're going to erase a cool little shape out of it. Even if you want to go down like that. Let's see. Yeah, I like that. I like that. There we are. So now I'll just go through and erase this. All this on the outside. And sure, we'll just do it like that. Pretty cool, huh? I like how that looks. So I'm going to keep going with it. I'm going to go maybe just draw another layer just for kicks. And start doing the same thing. Just make a few more of these. There you go. And this one's gonna be more, let's see. Oh, what's up with this brush? I don't like that brush. There we are. I wanna make it more hard line. So maybe, there you go. Do something like that. But then at the bottom here, we're gonna wanna do the same thing. Just kind of finish it off right there. And one more, and we'll merge all those layers together at the end. So then now I want to do one more, maybe right here. And I want to round it off on the edges. Cut off that bit. Oh, that looks pretty cool. It's got a little pattern to it. Okay, so I think the next thing I want to do is I want to lighten this bit up right here. That is way too dark. We're gonna have to change that. So let's see. I'm gonna add another layer and just make it a clipping mask so that I can, and I'll go back to my, oops, where is it? Gouache brush. And I'm gonna lighten this up. Let's see if I have a lighter color here. There we go. Yeah, I'm actually just gonna lighten that whole thing up because that is way too, yeah, way too dark. Yes, that works a lot better. And I'll even go a little bit lighter up here, and we'll just kind of play around with some texture. So I'm gonna make that really big. Let's actually, we'll max that out. I don't have to press all the way down, but just doing that adds some cool little texture to it. And if you want, you can mess around with the values, go a little bit darker on the darkest bit right down there. Add a little something to it. That's fun. Cool, I'm gonna stick with that. Let's go to this back one and make it a little bit lighter as well. Hinting that the moon is probably casting a little bit of a highlight on there. Another clipping mask. How about something like that? Really light. It needs something. Let's see. It needs to be kind of reflecting off. That moon looks awfully close over there. Even though that's not how that works. Okay, we'll go a little bit darker down here for some added interest. There we go. Perfect. All right, so now let's keep moving on to this this bit in the front. Maybe we should add some like shadows, really subtle. I don't want to go too crazy with shadows and things. Let's try this out. So let's figure out which layer we need to be on right here. And then I'm going to make another clipping mask on the snow layer. And if this doesn't work out, then we'll kind of bend it, right? That's not the right color exactly. There we go. We'll kind of do that. Kind of bend with the hill. How does that look? Let's see. And let's just say they have, you're gonna see some of those branches in there as well. So you might see a few other little stretched out lines. Cool. I think the thing what we're gonna do now is just, let's do a slightly lighter version of that. Just a little bit lighter. There we go. I think that's gonna look a little bit better, but I won't nitpick. Let's start with working on maybe, well, actually, you know what? We can bring a little bit more of that. I'll take that alpha lock off. Let's add a little bit more down here. I think that would be kind of a, so let's just play with some colors. It'd be nice to kind of bring that pink around a little bit on the painting. If it just stays over there, it'll feel kind of weird. So this balances it out a little bit. We might even put some in the moon. But let's do the little highlights here. I'm gonna go onto this bit, this tree on the right, clipping mask, and easily we're just gonna go ahead and do something a little bit lighter. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So we're gonna do some snows on here, huh? There we go, some snow. Do a few strokes on there. Each of these little like layers of branches. That looks pretty good. And then I'm gonna go even lighter up here. Maybe I'll just go straight to the white. Yeah, we can go straight to the white. Just add those little bit of snow, a little highlight there on the snow. Ooh, I got a little carried away. A little carried away. Let's bring this back. There we are. This is looking pretty cool. I'm liking this. That way you can still tell there's snow on there, but it's in the shadow, so it's going to be like more of that bluish color. There we are. We'll have that go all the way down. I'm gonna go, let's do this really quick. Go to your, grab a pencil of some type, add another layer underneath there. Really dark, almost black. Oh good, you can see that now. And then I'm just gonna add some lines under here. Like the tree has a little bit more character. A little bit more life to it. Yeah, I like that. Gives it a little bit more interest. All right, so now over here on this trunk, we want to go with the clipping mask. I'm gonna go back over to my gouache. I'm gonna start using my really dark colors on here for the shadow. Ooh, that looks good. All right, so this is gonna be more shaded back here. See, it kind of gives it like a tree texture when you don't press all the way down on it, which is kind of cool. But I don't want to go too far because then you're just gonna get black and that's not gonna be fun. Or just a really, really dark tree. I want to make this a little bit more interesting. So we'll kind of just barely hit it down here, a couple spots. Back here on this tree, same type of thing. Maybe we'll darken those right there. There we go, that looks pretty good. One other thing we can do is we can add maybe we can even pick up this color right here. And we'll put some snow on the side of the tree, like the wind kind of blew it around a little bit. We'll add that right on here. Oops. A little bit, we'll put it kind of hard right there on the front, and then we'll kind of work our way to the back, going a little bit softer. We got some powdery snow on the back of here. Kind of stuck to the tree. Same with this one over here. You could even use probably a different brush to kind of give it more of a powdery look on there too. That might be kind of fun. Ooh, I like that. Okay, I'll keep playing with it, but let's just move on. Maybe I wanted to add a little bit more, have a little bit more of a grain to the wood on there. So I'm gonna go back to my pencil. I'm really liking that gritty pencil and doing something maybe lighter. Oops, go back to, where's that pencil? I didn't quite grab it. Okay. And then I'm gonna add that, honestly, I might put that on top of the dark spot as well. And I'll just erase. Let's see. Let's make this a little bit more visible. There we go. Now we can just draw some big, long, sweeping lines through it. I like how that looks. Some little knots in it. Just kind of going all over. You don't have to really have too much of a rhyme or reason for it. Maybe even back here. Just to give it a little bit more life. Awesome. Cool. Now let's go and do this set of trees in the back here. We're getting close. We're getting really close. I'm gonna put these on one layer, add another layer, clipping mask it, go back to my gouache brush, and I'm gonna do the same thing I did here, but I'm gonna do it with just a darker kind of pink color. Kind of go up at the top here and just start my way at the top and work my way down a little bit. Awesome, I like that. There we go. And then maybe I'll do, if I shrink that down, kind of do some, wait here. Just because these trees are gonna create some funky shadows, I'm not really sure what they're gonna look like. So I think it might be kind of fun just to kind of add some lines here and there. Oops. Just to kind of give it the feeling that there's there's branches casting shadows. Well, it's looking like we're pretty close to finished. Let me just add a few more little things on here. Let's get that pencil back out. And I'm gonna go and add some little lines here on our strange alien plant here. I'm gonna have like this blue. Let's see if that looks good. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so I'm gonna go and just do some lines here. Some little lines. Awesome. While I have the pencil, maybe I add some stars. That'd be kind of fun. Instead of just doing all white, I might go to my blue, make it a little hint blue, like a really, really light blue. And then I'm just gonna add a few little stars here and there. And you can make snowflakes and call it snow or whatever if you want to. I think I'm just gonna have a nice starry, clear winter night. It's hard to make things look random. I always find that to be really, really difficult, making things look random, so good luck with that. Oh shoot, what am I doing? These ones, I gotta differentiate the hill. That's the end of the hill over there. Maybe make some constellations, that'd be kind of fun. You can connect them. Maybe there's a constellation you like that you want to put in there. That'd be neat. All right, so add a few little more stars in there. And I think the last thing would be maybe doing a little bit on the moon. It looks a little flat, so we can add a little bit of pink to it if we wanted. Add a little bit of pink. Let's see. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. It brings that pink back in a little bit more. But I think that's the last thing I need to do on this. Now you can go through and add as much detail or maybe add some animals and things, so whatever you would like to do. But hopefully you had fun and you're able to just kind of play around with, you know, it's a little bit, sometimes it's just nice to be a little bit loose with it. You don't have to get super technical and tight on some of these paintings. This is just kind of a nice flowy painting, and I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. Well, thank you guys so much for following along today. If you guys enjoyed this video, please drop it a like and consider subscribing to the channel for more art reviews and process videos just like this one. All right, we'll see you guys next time.